Hey everybody, this is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com. We're back with this week's new comic book reviews. So, not too big of a week. Some new stuff and some returning stuff. But really, I want to point out the big thing that I was really excited about this week, and it did actually come out, is it's so big, the Jack Kirby Absolute Edition number volume 2. This has been a long time coming. They're styled like the mother box, and it's really a spectacular package. I mean, DC's really knocked it out of the park on this. This completes the Fourth World saga, includes everything. And the really nice thing is there's like lots of extra stuff like Kirby original pages. It's got the Hunger Dogs. It's actually got it just tons of stuff. This is really amazing. I was very excited about this. I got the first volume when it came out, and this finishes it off. This is like the I think third or fourth time I've actually bought all the Kirby Fourth World, but this is really just a spectacular edition. I know the first volume's out, went out of print as soon as it came out, and I'm sure the second one is probably out of print. But if you were lucky enough to get them, they're really great prized possessions for my collection and for yours. So just wanted to point those out this week because it's really spectacular, and I think that's Kirby's best work. That's my favorite thing of Kirby. But it's kind of like picking your kids. How do you pick the best Kirby? That's just my favorite. So let's get to the books. There's a fair amount of books this week. First up, Aerosmith Behind Enemy Lines #1, written by Kurt Bissett, with artwork by Carlos Pacheco. So it's been, I don't know, like a million years since Aerosmith has come out. As a matter of fact, I want to say that the original series came out under Wildstorm, so that kind of tells you how long ago that was. That it was after DC bought Wildstorm, but it's been that long. So honestly, I think there's going to be a lot of new readers kind of coming into this. The good thing is that Biscuit does a pretty good job of like getting the basic structure of like, you know, the magic, how they use the dragons and stuff like that. He lays this first issue out fairly well, because even if you'd read the books, it's been so long since that has come out that I think everybody needed a refresher course on how like this world exists. So think about so it's set during kind of World War II. So there's magic, there's trolls, so there's a lot of stuff going on. But like I said, this first issue kind of sets things up in the sense of gives you like the basic structure of what the story is, and how the main character and stuff like that. So it does a pretty good job. I mean, there is going to be a hardcover coming out that collects the original series. That's coming out in April. So unfortunately, it was supposed to be timed with this, but obviously with printing and everything, it kind of went south. But I would say that it's really worth picking up. I mean, I like the concept and everything, and of course, really, Pacheco's artwork is just stunningly gorgeous. It really is just so absolutely gorgeous that it's just. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why the original series was so wonderful. But I think it's just kind of an interesting story where it's not so much that Kurt's really trying to reinvent the wheel here. He's taken different elements and kind of mashed them together, and it just works really well. So I think it's well worth checking out. I really enjoyed coming back to it. I do want to get the hardcover, which is being completely remastered and everything. So it'll be nice to revisit the original and then kind of, get back into this. So I think it's worth checking out. And so next up we have Batman the Knight #1, written by Chip Zdarsky, with artwork by Carmine D. Ganamico. Sorry about that. So once again, we have another Batman book. Whee! Yeah, because there isn't like 1,500. But I will say I did actually enjoy it. So what this is, it's similar to Lemire and Dustin Nguyen's Robin and Batman, where this is Bruce's story, and it's a younger. He's roughly a teenager, so he hasn't really become Batman yet. But obviously, he's still dealing with the murder of his parents. I think what's interesting is what Zdarsky does is he's going to a psychologist, and the psychologist is Hugo Strange. So I think that's an interesting element right there. But I think, in a way, it's like I said, it's kind of similar to Robin and Batman, where they're Zdarsky's telling this a similar type of story where it's a story that has always kind of been there on the side, but never really told. So I find it interesting, and I think he like this first issue was surprisingly good, considering once again how many Batman books are on. DC's just pumping them out like crazy, but I did like it, and Grant Amico's artwork is it's really really good. It's really nice, and and once again there's a lot of like just talking and stuff. So once again, if an artist can do that well and make it exciting and everything, where it's just kind of dialogue, it's really it was quite a surprise. Like I said, I'm almost getting a little Batman burned out, but I will say I did enjoy this, and I think it shows a lot of promise. So it'll be interesting where Zdarsky takes the story from this first issue. Next up, we have She-Hulk #1, written by Rainbow Rowell. With artwork by Rogue Antonio. So the last She-Hulk series, I was actually really surprised that the Dan Slott run. So it really centered on Jen being a lawyer, and that this book kind of follows that. But what it is she doesn't have her own lawyer. She's actually starting out working for this law firm, but she's like the bottom rung, and she's obviously, once again, I'm assuming there's some backstory here that I don't know about, that maybe has been in some recent Marvel comics. But apparently she really doesn't have a job, and she's kind of getting back on her feet and stuff like that. So that's the basic setup for this first issue. And I liked it. It wasn't, I think the story was okay. It wasn't overwhelming, but once again, it is a first issue. So I think, I do think that, Rowell did a good job of setting things up and kind of getting, okay, like here's what's going on in her life, this and that. And that part was good. It's not an overwhelming first issue, but that's okay, because Rowell gets a lot of the exposition out of the way in this first issue, and sets things up really nicely for that. But like I said, it's not going to blow you away, but it was enjoyable. I did like Antonio's artwork is nice. It's pretty basic, comic book artwork, but it does the job, and sometimes that's perfectly fine. So I think, if you're a fan of She-Hulk, I think it's worth checking out. Just, it's not going to be overwhelming. So we'll kind of see where the second issue lands on that. Next up, we have Catwoman 39, written by Tini Howard, with artwork by Nico Leon. So this is the new creative team jumping on the book. And Howard does a good job of setting her story up. It's a first part of a multi-part, first story arc, and she comes back to Gotham, and now she's dealing with trying to deal with the mob bosses that have kind of taken over the areas, but she's like, this is this is, like her hell, Gotham's Hell's Kitchen basically is her territory, and she's like, this is my territory, and I'm going to protect it. So that's kind of this first setup, and there's a new villain that's introduced and everything. I think it's a decent first issue. It's, once again, it's exposition, setting things up, but I think Howard does a nice job of setting up this basic first issue. And I really enjoyed Leon's artwork. It's really nice. It's a really good looking book. And that's always a plus for Catwoman. And I think if you can capture her spirit in that, it really works out well. I was actually pretty surprised, not blown away, but surprised. So I think it's, if you're looking for Catwoman, this is a good jumping on point. Next up we have Silver Surfer Rebirth #1. Written by Ron Mars, with artwork, pencils by Ron Lim, with inking by Don Ho. So this is the team that had really made Silver Surfer popular back in the 90s, and in a way, it's like living the 90s all over again. And that's not a knock, but I think the thing is, it was kind of, it didn't really grow, in the sense of, it wasn't, okay, we did the stuff in the 90s, and that's nice, but I really didn't feel that it felt much different than that. It just feels like a continuation of that. And if that's what you're looking for, that's fine. But I think, I will say, there were some interesting concepts of bringing back the original Captain Marvel, and it's one of the later version, the 90s version of Captain Marvel. So like I said, it was kind of interesting. It just felt like very been there, done that. And like I said, the first issue was okay, but it didn't really do a whole lot for me. I will say, Ron Lim's artwork's always nice. He does a great job. He draws a really nice Silver Surfer, so that's always a plus. But it felt like it stuck in a time bubble in the 90s, and I just kind of think that we're past that. But if that's what you're looking for, then that's the book for you. Next up, we have Animal Castle #2. Written by Xavier Dorson, with artwork by Felix Delep. So when I reviewed the first issue, so this is it's kind of a sequel to Animal Farm. Well, it is a sequel to Animal Farm. But I think the thing is, especially what Dorson has done here, is there's so much depth to this that really is just amazing. How you're kind of telling the same story, but he's really bringing, I think what he's bringing to this is really the characters beyond, like, the like in the original story, it's the pigs who run they're the dictatorship. And there is that, because this one, the second issue, we're introduced to the president, who's a bull now, and once again, it's a dictatorship. But I think what really sets this apart is the kind of supporting cast of so basically it kind of centers around this female cat and her two sons, and I think it's just that and the other characters that really just make this really intriguing. But what really just makes this book stand out is Delep's artwork. It is stunningly gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. My only minor complaint is this was obviously published in Europe in like a larger format, and they've shrunk it down to like comic size, which I understand, because the American audiences are much more comic oriented than graphic novels in that respect. But I certainly hope, and this is collected, that they bring it back to its original size, because the artwork has so much detail, and it's just it's somewhat hard. It's really lost a little bit, but that's just a minor complaint. This is so good. It's so wonderful. The story is amazing. The art is gorgeous. It's really, this is a must buy book. Next up, we have The Rush #3, written by Cy Spur with artwork by Nathan Gooden. So this continues the story of the mom looking for her son. She's up in the northern regions, and there's the gold rush going on, but. So you have that part of the story, and then there's like some monster in the wood that's like we still don't quite know what's going on with that whole thing. And this issue is kind of it's still continuing the story, but it's kind of a middle issue. So once again, you really need to have been reading this from the beginning. But I do like how Spur is really pacing this story. It's unfolding really nicely at a really nice pace. How he's still leaving the mystery and everything, and it's just turning out to be a really, really solid, nice horror book, and it's really good, and then Gooden's artwork is really, really nice. There's some really wonderful stuff in this third issue that's really just spectacular. And I think the interesting thing is we kind of get to see the creature, whatever, and it's not quite what we expect. So I think there's some twists and turns that's going to be coming that is really intriguing. But this book has been really a surprisingly big surprise, and I still think it's worth checking out. I'm enjoying it so far, and I like this third issue. Next up, we have Hulk #3, written by Donny Cates with artwork by Ryan Ottley. So once again, kind of like The Rush, we're in the third issue where we're just Cates is developing, moving the story along. So there's kind of like, in a way, this is like almost a middle part of this first story arc where there's stuff that's going on, but there's not necessarily a lot of action as in the previous couple issues. Now Cates is starting to mine the more psychological aspects of what this story is. So basically, what it is that Banner's turned the Hulk into like a kaiju, or like a robot. Like in Pacific Rim, that's really the basic premise here. But now we're starting to get all this kind of like this psychological aspect to what's going on, and it is really interesting. And like I said, I think this issue is more like that middle type issue where you're gonna read it and you're gonna enjoy it, but it isn't gonna kind of grab you like the first couple issues. But that's okay because it's not the point of this particular issue. And sometimes you get that with a monthly schedule book where you get an issue and it's good, but it doesn't stand on its own. It's part of a story. So that's kind of where this issue kind of lands. It's not a knock. It's just one of those things. The story's really good, but you're like, I want more. And then you have once again Ryan Ottley just knocking out of the park on the artwork. This is really good, just really nice looking book, and I'm really been surprised, especially after Al Ewing's previous Hulk run. Donny Cates seems to be doing this first story arc seems to be good. I think. The question is, where's this first story arc going to land, and then where's it going to go from there? That's going to be the key for its long term. But right now, it's still firing on all cylinders and doing really well. Next up, we have Superman, Son of Kal-El, #7, written by Tom Taylor, with artwork by pencils by Kane Tormey, with inking by Raul Fernandez and Tormey. So this is we're coming out. This is the first part of a new storyline. Now that we've gotten the whole Superman's bisexual, that's okay. And I like the fact that Tom Taylor has not made that a big deal. It's like, okay, there it is. That doesn't make him that it's a part of his character, but it's not the thing about his character. And I am enjoying that. I think this, like I said, this is the first part of a new storyline. So there's a lot of setup here, and it's a good start, but it's a first issue. So there's kind of an exposition. There's a fair amount of exposition in this first part of the story, but it is a nice setup. I will say, Tormey's an artist. Tim's has been doing the artwork, who's he's a really wonderful artwork. But I have to admit, Tormey did a good job of doing this first issue. I don't know if he's staying on the book for the first story arc or if he's just filling in for a couple issues, but he's doing a nice job and filling some big shoes, but he does a good job. Like I said, it's the first part of a story, so it's a little like, okay, here we go. So the next issue I think is going to be the key to see how this story unfolds. Next up, we have Primordial number 5, written by Jeff Lemire, with artwork by Andrea Sorrentino. So now we're getting to the kind of the meat of this story. But what's interesting is that Lemire has done a time jump with this story. So it was set in the 60s. So once again, it was during, say, the space program of the 60s, but instead of the space race, in this story that never happened. But the 2 monkeys and the dog were sent into space. They have found this weird alien spacecraft. So once again, when they were up there, they had like a 2001 moment, where they met this spaceship and stuff. And once again, we don't know. We just know that there was this weird alien, I assume it's alien spaceship. So now they're coming back. They're coming back to Earth, but now we have a time jump where it's like 20 some years later. And so now we have like the story that was going on, and then they're coming back. So it's interesting because you're just kind of at a point you're like going, oh crap. And it's almost like a whole new story of like, okay, what is, of course they come back and then the army's like, oh, well, there's an alien spaceship. Let's blow it out of the air. So there's that, but there's also the lady who trained or took care of Laika, the dog. So she's older now, and she was also in the previous storyline with the scientist from the United States. So there's that story that that was from last issue, and you're like, well, wait a second. What has all happened since then? And that's what's interesting is Lemire kind of leaves that like he doesn't explain that right now, because you have like two storylines kind of crashing back together because the animals are coming back. And it's just like this book just continues to blow my mind, where I just like what I love about it is I don't know where he's taking it every issue, and that's really been the amazing thing about the story is it's not that it's all over the place. It's just like it's taking that risk of not telling you everything at once and just letting it unfold. And this book just really has a wonderful just flow and just washes over you with its story. And then you have Sorrentino. I've been a huge fan of his artwork, but this book is absolutely amazing because of he does different styles depending on, like, you know, when they're on the spaceship, the animals are kind of a slightly different style. Then when they're on Earth, it's a different kind of style. But the artwork is just absolutely stunning in this book. I'm really loving it. And I really can't wait to see where this story lands. It's been really spectacular, and it's been one of my favorite books this year. Next up, we have Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, number 7, written by Tom King, with artwork by Bilquis Evely. So we're at the next to last issue on this. This book has really blown me away because once again I go back to what King is doing with this. He's not trying to reinvent Supergirl. He's not trying to change her. He's just telling a good story. But I think what's really amazing is that we're learning about Kara, which is always one of the key things, and what King is so good at is getting to the roots of what makes her Supergirl. But it's not really Supergirl. What makes Kara Supergirl? And plus we have, so they finally caught up with the assassin that killed the girl's father. But Supergirl has to go off on a mission, so she leaves the horse with the girl, and so there's that. I really don't want to say anything much about the storyline because it's really, really wonderful. But we can see how this book has flowed and how this King has just developed the story, and I cannot wait to see how it all comes together in the next issue. And and once again, this is just a gorgeous book. Evely is just, this is some of her best work. I really loved her work when she was doing Wonder Woman, but boy, this book is absolutely amazing. It's a gorgeous looking book, and if you have not been picking it up, just shame on you, because this book is so damn good. Next up, we have the Silver Coin #8. With this issue being written by Matthew Rosenberg, and as always, artwork with Michael Walsh. Now, what I love about this book is they're all one and done stories. And so each issue is individual. You don't have to, you can pick up 8 by itself and you're perfect flying, because this issue, this story stands on its own. So what this story is about is there's a janitor who, he works in a high-rise building. I would say it's maybe set in the 60s. That's without just looking at it. So it's like set in the 60s, like the Mad Men type era. And so there's and what it is, the story is kind of like, in some ways, like not so much the rich versus the poor, but how the higher up people are, the richer they are. And then there's lower. So you have this guy who collects coins and stuff. And then you have the janitor. Well, this guy says, hey, I got these new coins. And the janitor sees, and of course there's the silver coin that if you have it, you're going to die, or some bad things will happen, which means you'll die. So the janitor becomes obsessed with this coin, and he wants to like take it. And that's kind of the story. And once again, I don't really want to give too much away, but what's really interesting in this is I love how Walsh, he uses like the 9-panel for most of the story. And it's really interesting how, once again, in a way, you're boxed in by using 9 panels, but at the same time, it really opens it up. And he really, I think it fits his story really well. And Rosenberg's written a really, really great horror story here, but I think it's one of, but it's also that ironic story. So there's that going on. So it's really just, this has really been a wonderful book. Each issue is just great. It stands on its own. You don't have to read the previous issue. This is just a really fun book. And I also like how each issue Walsh has like a slightly different style. He brings a different style depending on the story. And in this one, it's a really good looking book. I mean, he continues. This is the 8th issue, and it's just absolutely wonderful. Really, if you're it's one of the best horror books going right now. Next up, we have Nightwing '88, written by Tom Taylor with artwork by Bruno Redondo. So we're now coming. So we know that Alfred has left his fortune to Dick, and he's using it for good in Bloodhaven, and so obviously he has now become a target, because like mob people and stuff like that are like, well, wait, we're running this show, we want to keep people down and everything, and you're going to make the city nice, you're going to screw everything up. So that's what this issue is that they hire hitmen to take out Dick Grayson. Little do they know that not only is he Nightwing, but he has these friends of his. You may have heard of them, called the Teen Titans. He's kind of hung out with them. So that's what this issue is, and it's a lot of fun, and it's great to see the original new Teen Titans back together again. And it was really a fun issue. Tom Taylor continues this is really just a great book. I look forward to this book every month because it's just so much fun and so well done. And then Redondo just continues. I love his artwork. He really just brings it every issue, and it's really been a solid book, and it's really something you really need to be buying. And finally, this week we have Wonder Woman 783, written by Michael W. Conrad and Becky Cloonan, with artwork by Marcio Takara. Now, I really enjoyed the first storyline, basically the kind of death of Wonder Woman, and her journey back to the world. But really, I've really struggled with these past few issues of the story, in the sense of, I don't think it's bad. I'm still enjoying it, but I think it's just, I think it's just kind of, it's lost the magic that was really that that longer storyline. It's just that it's become kind of average, and it's a real shame because I do think that Conrad and Clunan, did such a wonderful job on that epic storyline when they first started. But this, it could be that it's leading up to that whole Trial of the Amazon thing, but I'm just not feeling this storyline. It's a real shame because I've really enjoyed the book, but it just seems like it's kind of spinning wheels here, and I'm really I'm becoming a little disappointed. So we'll kind of I'll keep hanging out, but I don't really know how much longer that I'll hang with it. It's just, and it's a real shame because I do like the book. I just think that it's falling into a pattern of just like average, and it's just not good enough, and that's where I'm kind of struggling. Takara's artwork continues. Actually, it's really good. I really enjoyed it. I think the first couple issues were a little on the stiff side, but boy, this issue looks really good, and really just some really wonderful artwork. And once again, that hurts with a struggle because it's a really nice looking book. So that's kind of where I'm kind of struggling with it. I still like it, but I'm not loving it as much as I was. So that's going to do it this week. That finishes up pretty much most of the new comics this week. As always, public service announcement. I get all my comics at Pulp Fiction Comics in Long Beach, California. Ryan runs a great store. Annie and Eduardo are there. That's just really great customer service. They offer discounts on their new comics if you subscribe to their their pull box. They offer 30% off of trades and graphic novels. They carry a really nice manga selection at 20% off. And it's a really great store. If you live in the Long Beach area, it's really I really recommend it. They have a sister store that has the same name, Pulp Fiction Comics, but in Culver City. So it's Pulp Fiction Culver City, run by Chris and her team. They're separate stores, but they have the same name. And because it was originally one owner, and then they split off. Chris runs her store, and Ryan runs his store. But once again, they offer great service, great stores. If you live more in the LA area, I really highly recommend checking out Chris's Pulp Fiction Culver City. And as always, please be safe out there. Make sure you're vaccinated. If you can get a booster, get a booster. Things are getting crazy out there again. Keep social distance. Wear your mask. Just be safe. It's really tough right now. I know we've all been through a lot these past couple years, and it seems like it's never going to end. But if we do what we need to do, we can get through this. And as always, please be kind. Kindness is one thing, and especially now, being kind is really important. And just being kind to people and to yourself, it's really important. So just take care of yourselves. That's going to do it this week. Thanks for watching. Please make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like and as always, comments are welcome. If you think I'm doing a great job, great. If you think I'm doing a crappy job, give me some help if you think I'm struggling with something. But anyways, take care of yourselves. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. We'll do it again next week. Same bat time, somewhat same bat channel. And always support your local comic shop. All right, this is Steven from Pop Culture Maven, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.